Hey everybody, welcome to RiverCity-Media. I'm the Howie Chaney, along with the editor of the Times Journal in Fort Payne, Mr. Heath Hambrick. Heath, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
We're going to talk about something that we had Mr. Speaker of the House Nathaniel Ledbetter on Monday night, and and I kind of opened up by saying this, and I'll open it up with you as well. The hot topic in the state of Alabama is the reclassification of all the
Mhm,
schools in the state of Alabama and the public-private split.
mhm.
And before we get started, I know you got to kind of be a little bit uh, politically correct, being the sports person and paper wise, but your thoughts on the public public and private split?
Well, I wrote a column that will be in this weekend's paper, but it's already out online. And I think they got it right. Um, the big thing is honestly, it now with the reclass, but before it didn't really affect 5A through 7A. Those teams were able to compete and compete on a kind of an even level, but classes 1 through 4, most of the private schools kind of dominated everything. Uh, Perfectly, and not really in football. It's more of a secondary sports. One that you just talked about, volleyball, for example. For years, Bayside Academy just dominated. They won 22 in a row. If you take what I put in my column, you take that team away, Geraldine and Plainview probably have 3 more rings apiece. Um, just having the opportunity to play and win a state championship. And I listened the other night when you had Nathaniel on, and I agree a lot of with what he said as far as just giving the kids an opportunity. Uh, what this does now is it gives more student athletes the opportunity to win a state championship and play for one. Um, because now you've got 2 more classes, but you've also got the public schools who are now have an opportunity to go on further. I mean, you just take last year's football season, for example. Pisgah lost to Coosa Christian. The year before, they lost to Tuscaloosa Academy. Um, Geraldine has lost the last 3 years to a private school. And they were to those 2 teams were state caliber teams, contenders to me, and they never had the opportunity to play. Um, I won't go too deep in a rabbit hole, but um, I think it's everybody says they're better together. Well, they're still together. They're still under the same umbrella. They're still in the same athletic association. Now we've just done what Tennessee and Georgia have done, and we've made it 2 separate classifications for the public and private schools. And in the end, I think it will work. Now, um, is it perfect? No. But I think this is a really good start to where we need to get to be. And um, one of the you deep dive into some of this stuff and you look at it, and I had one person that I talked to call me on Friday and asked me what I thought, and I said for the most part I think it's good. The only hiccup is 5A, in my opinion, in 5A football. Um, I would have liked to have seen 6A be more schools than 32. I think if it would have at least been 48 or say 60, it would have, to me, balanced out even more the bigger schools, because in 5A now you got Clay Chalkville, Hartselle, Muscle Shoals, Florence, um, Pell City, those Saraland teams that have competed in 6A, what used to be 6A, and now they're in 5A. Well, the disparity in the enrollment number is 1,100 to 520, and I think if you put 48 or 60 more schools in 6A, the cutoff would have been right where, if you look at the enrollment number, right where Calera is. Calera would be the biggest school in 5A, and everybody in our area would still be 5A below. But you would take Hartselle, Athens, Decatur, Saraland, Clay Chalkville, all those teams would now be in 6A, competing with teams that they've competed with in the past, uh, with Hoover and the Thompsons and the Auburns. So That was the only thing. Um, maybe, you know, some things I've heard, maybe this things could change, depending on your private schools have a meeting on Friday. So something might change. Who knows? It may not be completely set in stone yet. But the only hiccup to that is most of the coaches have made their schedule. So, um, but yeah, that was the only hiccup. Other than that, I think it benefits a lot of our schools around here in Jackson County, Marshall County. Um, and then there's some schools that it doesn't benefit. Um, the South Side's in the Douglas. Douglas is that is not.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Douglas.
to me,
Yeah,
that was the one that just it jumped off the page. Like, whoa, what are we doing? Um, because I never would have thought Douglas would be playing Clay Chalmers
right.
in a region game. So um, maybe that's something we can look at. I think one thing I do think that I don't know what goes on that room in Montgomery when this happens, but a computer generates this. I think once it's generated, before we say, "Hey, this is it, we're good," let's actually deep dive, look region by region. I don't know if this happens or not, but to me, there has to be some kind of human element in it and some common sense put into it because the Douglas and Clay Chalkville is not common sense,
Right.
and so to me, that's where I stand on it. But overall, I think it is a good thing. Uh,
You
so
know, it kind of goes back to something we've talked about in the past. I think me and you've talked about it, and I know that we've talked with Jason Bowen about it as well. But with basketball wise, Scottsboro being sent to Huntsville,
yeah,
being considered Scottsboro being considered in the west part of the state.
yeah,
It's just crazy. Like you
yeah,
said, some common sense, and B, some human element needs to go into it
yeah,
instead of just a computer doing it all. Because computers are great things, but they're not the smartest thing. It's not the best thing in the world.
yeah,
So, but before we get started, I want to apologize to everybody. I tried my best to find the paperwork to where I could print it up or pull it up on there and everybody could look at it, but the state did everything in a PDF, which unfortunately with this StreamYard that we use only accepts JPEG and PEG files and all that. So I was not able to find anything like that. So we will go through. Just bear with us and talk about all of it. But we're going to start off with 1A, and we're just going to cover the teams in this area that is affected by it. And Heath, you have to help me out on some of this. I may overlook some of them, but 1A,
okay,
uh, Region 8. That's the only one that's really going to affect us that I can see offhand. Is that correct?
yeah, yeah, it is,
Okay, so we got 1A Region 8. The region will consist of Appalachian High School. I'll get it right in a second.
yeah,
Appalachian High School, Cedar Bluff, Galesville, Raglan, Spring Garden, Valley Head, and Woodville. And looking at that, jumping off the page, when Woodville goes and plays at Spring Garden, they'll have to leave 2 days in advance to
yeah,
be able to get there before the game starts.
yeah. This region really didn't. The only thing it changed is Ida's not in there now.
Yeah.
I think all those are still the same except Ida is gone. This may be the only 17 region in the state. Everybody else they tried to get be evenly numbered with 8, but I think this may be the only region that that is 70. Phil, I heard him talking, and then Coach Hammond has sent me his schedule. Uh, the Valley Head going to play Sand Rock. That gives them an opportunity to play that. Have played in 25 years
Right.
or so. So that's a neat deal for them. That's kind of a rival game. I'm sure there'll be a packed house at Valley Head or Sand Rock, wherever the game is held next year. So, but yeah, I look at that region, and Appalachian won it last year. I don't know how many they got coming back, but that could them and Woodville had an outstanding year, and then Valley Head will look to rebound after their 3-7 season, and Spring Garden is always good, so it should be interesting there.
Yeah. Like I said, it's basically the same, and it should be a very competitive region because all football wise, because all of them are basically returning quite a few players back, and uh, and that's
Yeah,
something kind of unusual in 1A because you don't get that a lot, but seems like this year you will, or this upcoming season.
Yeah, I agree. I think we lose Howie? I think we did lose Howie. So
Sorry about that.
there's a.
I clicked the wrong button. Sorry about that,
As soon as
everybody.
we lost that,
Yeah, yeah,
well,
I'm
I was
back.
supposed to have to
Sorry.
take over.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead. You do a lot better job than I will.
uh,
So that was 1A Region 8. We're going to move over to 2A Region. We'll talk about Region 6 with Gaston being in that one.
yeah,
Gaston High School, Ohatchee, Piedmont. Really surprised that Piedmont dropped down from 3A to
I am.
2A.
They're smaller than five. If you look at the enrollment numbers, they're smaller than five, which
Right,
is that means their senior class had to be huge
right.
to drop that much. But yeah, that region with Piedmont, Pleasant Valley, Sacs, um, uh, Vincent, Walter Wellborn. Walter Wellborn was 4A not too long ago,
Right.
and then now they're 2A, and then West End of Walnut Grove. Uh, if I'm Sacs is always they always have athletes. Piedmont,
Yes.
we know how Piedmont is. Uh, to me, the odd man out in this one's Gaston. Um, but the rest of them, they pretty much played each other before. Piedmont is always good. Pleasant Valley had the best year in school history last year, so could be a competitive region. But I think Piedmont's probably going to be the one to win that one.
Right. Hey, the founder of RiverCity-Media, Randy Cunningham, he is actually on here. Randy, if you will hop on and talk to us for a second about the public-private stuff because you've dealt with it in Tennessee for several years.
Well, Howie, first of all, when I saw you leave, I, I wasn't gonna leave Heath by himself. Let me cut my radio off. Hey, I was wondering more than anything, Heath. What do you think could happen with up here in Chattanooga? Baylor and McCallie have just become this powerhouse,
Yeah,
playing national football, and they recruit Chattanooga area. I think the best team in Chattanooga was 6-4 last year.
yeah.
Well, could that happen in Alabama too, like in Montgomery or Birmingham, where you see a large? I mean, if I'm a parent, my kid's got a chance to go to Baylor, I'm sending them.
Yeah.
But could that happen to you down there?
You know, and honestly, they're in Birmingham per se. Briarwood's probably the biggest school, and they've been good for a long time. I mean, it could happen. I mean, they could say, if a kid's playing at Hoover or a kid's playing at Oak Mountain, they could go play Briarwood, and obviously that goes back to the Choose Act and how they want to do that, and that's a whole nother can of worms. But yeah, it's possible. I mean, it could happen in Gadsden. You take you got two private schools down there. One of them who has been in the news quite frequently in the last 2 years for certain instances, and it could happen there. Kids could, if they don't like Gadsden City, they could go to one of those two that's down there. Or if you don't like South Side, you can go to those two. Just depends. It could very easily happen.
Yeah. Randy, you're muted, Randy. You're muted.
I'm trying to figure out how to keep my blue teeth from feeding back on it. And Heath, is that bad? Because I'll jump off after this question. You've got Baylor and McCallie playing at a top 25 level
Mm-hmm.
in the United States, and including the number one player in America at Baylor. It, if they decide to go that way, is it a bad thing?
To me personally, it would be because I think it hurts other schools, especially if the scenario happens and it was to be a small school from up here, and their child goes to one of those private schools. When you go to Huntsville or you go to Gadsden. So if in bigger schools, it probably wouldn't be if you're you're moving back and forth, moving from a big school to a big private, it probably wouldn't be such bad, but it could cripple a small school like that. So, especially around here.
By the way, Heath, I don't know if you know or not, but the player that Randy's talking about at Baylor, the top player in the nation, is actually from Canada. So
Really? Okay.
He
Did not know
is,
that.
and I'll just let everybody know if they want Anna Lee Cunningham. Oh, yes. If they want Anna Lee Cunningham at one of their schools, she's available for transfer.
Well, I know there's a Manning at Baylor, so I know he's there. So we'll see how that goes too.
Yeah, Randy.
All right,
Randy,
guys. I'm sorry to jump on in the middle of this. I'm gonna go get my pharmacy now.
That's all good.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Yes, please.
So that was region. Yeah, actually, the player from Baylor that Randy's talking about is from Canada. So
Wow.
top player in the nation from Canada, living somewhere in Chattanooga, going to Baylor.
Is that legal?
Yes, so. So anyway, the 2A Region 6, you got Gaston, Ohatchee, Piedmont, Pleasant Valley, Sachs, Vincent, Walter Welborn, and West End. And that's going to be a pretty tough classification or a region right there. And then if I'm not overlooking nothing, Region 8 is the other one that would affect us.
Yeah, the Region 8 is the last one.
Yeah, 2A Region 8, you got Brindley Mountain. Surprise, they dropped down to 2A. Collinsville, Fife, Ider, North Sand Mountain, Pisgah, Sandrock, and Section.
Yeah. This is kind of a few years ago when Fife was 2A. This is kind of an old 2A region we've had before. Other than Brindley Mountain, I think Brindley Mountain has always been 3A.
As far as I can remember, they've always been 3A.
Yeah. So probably the only team in the state of Alabama to move up in classification and not drop is Ider. So they're actually bigger than most of these schools. And you look at the enrollment numbers, Pisgah and Section are the bottom of 2A. So
really,
you look at those numbers. When we redo this again in 2 years, they could very easily be 1A. And could you imagine that in football or especially Pisgah? You think of it in football or basketball. I mean, that would be interesting there. But yeah, Fife is going to be. He's got a lot coming back. Coach Benefield does. So I thought Fife had a really good opportunity to win another one, and then Piedmont falls in. So it's probably going to be them out of the North in the semifinals to see who goes and plays for it next year. And you can't say Birmingham because it'll be in Mobile. Super 7 or Super 8, I guess is what it's going to be called. It'll be in Mobile at USA. So, but yeah, that's a region we've seen before. I think actually when we switched to region play in 2000, I think that was majority of those teams were in the region. Brindley Mountain didn't exist, but I think for the most part those were region teams.
Well, they existed. They just wasn't in a 2A region. So
yeah,
or 2A. But yeah, that's when you see that region right there, it looks very familiar, and it's going to be good to see. I don't want to say a rivalry and stuff like that, but it's going to be good to see Fife playing Sandrock again because that was always a pretty good game back in the day.
Yeah, and as Speaker said, you're down 2 touchdowns when you go to Sandrock.
Yeah.
So
everybody says that goes to Sandrock.
That's a running joke, I think, or it may not be a joke, but I mean I don't know. But yeah, you always hear all these old coaches say that. So.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll move on over to 3A, and it seems like 3A Region 8 is the only one that's going to affect around here, basically.
Yeah, you got Etowah in Region 6.
Yeah. 3A Region 6. Yeah, let me go ahead and read that off real quick. Yeah.
So you got
Etowah Region 6. Yeah, Etowah, Glencoe,
Hansville, Hopes Bluff, Holly Pond, Aniana, Susan Moore, and Vinemont. Um, you know, you basically you got 4 teams are together, and you got the other 4 teams are together over in Coleman County, so they're all kind of together. Um, Etowah struggled the last few years. I think he won 2 games last year. Glencoe was really good. I don't know how they're going to be now. Coaching change. Aniana dropping from 4A to 3A will probably help them. And then Susan Moore, obviously, they've been good in the past when they were 3A.
Right, absolutely, and it's also I'm also looking at the map, and when you look at this map and it's got pins of all the schools and everything, the teams up north it don't affect a whole lot, but the teams down south they got a lot of traveling to do.
They got a lot of travel, yeah.
Absolutely. So go with 3A Region 8. It's going to be a pretty good region. It seems like you got Asbury, Geraldine, DAR, Madison County, New Hope, North Jackson, Plainview, and Sylvania.
Yeah, this is kind of you go back to when it was old area play in the 80s and the early 90s, which DAR and Asbury football didn't exist.
Right.
But Madison County was 3A. Which back then it was Stevenson in Bridgeport. Stevenson was 3A. Played in Pisgah and all them, and then Plainview and Sylvania. And then Geraldine. DAR has never, since they've had a football program, they've never been lower than 4A. So it's good news for them. Asbury was 3A the last 2 years. So I look at this region and I think it's going to be kind of top heavy. I think Geraldine, Plainview, North Jackson are going to be the 3, and then everybody else is probably playing for 4th. And you look at some schedules, North Jackson has already released theirs. They're going to open up with Cherokee County as a jamboree, and then they're going to play Grissom out of Huntsville, which would be a 6A school. And then they're going to play Pisgah for the 3rd time. They were not able to play the last 2 years because North Jackson was in a 9-team region. So that's a big money game for them. And it basically is Pisgah versus Stevenson again, like it used to be in the 80s. And it's a good thing for that's a good Jackson County rivalry, in my opinion, for those 2 communities to play each other. They didn't for a long time, but I think it's a good thing that they play. And then Plainview and Geraldine in DeKalb County, along with Sylvania, that's the battles on Highway 75 are going to be fun next year. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it will be. And the good thing about some of this is they do know each other because they've been in regions together or area play together way back in the day, but regions and it's going to be interesting to see some of these games. And like I say, anybody that's watching this, you got a chance, go look at the pinned map for all these classifications and notice that we're very fortunate here in the north to be able to have fairly close games compared to most of them down in the south.
Yeah.
So let's move over to 4A and let's see. I'm kind of looking. You got 4A Region 8.
Yep.
That's AP Brewer, Cherokee County, with the new coach that came from Glencoe, and but he's excited to be out there, Coach Blanchard. I'm sorry. Anyway, Cherokee County, Crossville, Fairview, Good Hope, Gunnersville, Hayden, and Sardis.
Yeah, the one that the 2 big teams that jump off the page here are Cherokee County and Gunnersville. That's probably Fairview was really good last year, had a senior laden team, so you don't really know what they're going to have this fall. Good Hope was good. Plainview played them in the quarterfinals, so 4 really good teams there. And then you got Crossville coming back after 3 years of not having a varsity football team. So it should be interesting there. Their schedule is already out. He's scheduled, Coach Walker's scheduled Asbury to open up the season with. Their week 5 game is the Battle of Skirm Creek. They're going to play Geraldine. And then week 10, I think, is Gaston. So
Okay.
that would be a good game for them. And then obviously you look at I have no idea. Hayden is I think Hayden are they is that in Coleman County or is that in or Walker County?
Uh,
Um,
I'm not
but
100%
that's
sure.
I know nothing about Hayden football. Uh, Brewer, if you go over there, wait till the game's over to get on cell phone because there's no cell signal. Um, and then Sardis, they'll have a new coach too because he left to go to Glencoe after Coach Blanchard left Glencoe to go to Cherokee County. So we're just playing musical coaches here.
Right.
So, but I still think it's Gunnersville and Cherokee County for that region.
Right. And looking at the pin map, I think you're right. I think Hayden is around the Coleman County area.
Okay.
And looking at these games here, you got a little distance to travel, but you're going to have to travel some, but it's not going to be as bad as it has been in the past
Yeah.
for some of these schools. So we'll move on over to 5A, where 5A is going to be kind of interesting. It feels like this
Yeah.
year. Uh,
Yeah.
I, one of them that we're going to talk about real quick, but it's not really in our area, but we'll still talk about it real quick, is the 5A Region 6. We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. Clay Chalkville, Douglas, Oxford, Pell City, Pinson Valley, Southside, Springville, and St. Clair County.
Yeah.
Could that
Yeah.
not be one of the toughest regions in the state?
Could be. Yeah. Yeah. It's you got Clay Shaw who won the state championship last year. Pinson Valley loaded with athletes. Oxford very good. Pell City, who won their coach won the 5A state championship last year at Moody. Jay Gaines is there. It's top heavy, and I think there's a clear separation between four schools. There's a clear divide between the 8 schools. I think
Right.
there's 4 that's really good, and then 4 that may struggle, and it'll be interesting to see there. Another one I want to talk about. It's not in our area, but 6 is tough. Region 6 is tough. Region 7 is really tough. You got Athens, Decatur, East Limestone, Florence, Hartsville, Muscle Shoals, and Russell. So it's tough there too.
Right.
And then you get over to our region, Region 8, with Alamo, who's dropped down, Arab, Boaz, Columbia, Fort Payne, Lee of Huntsville, May Jennison, and Scottsboro. 4 of those teams, I don't know how it's going to lay out, but they could either play Region 5 or Region 7 in round 1. And you could either, I think if you're not the top 2 seeds, you may struggle in the first round to get out of the first round. And like I said earlier, 5A is very, very loaded. In the South, you've got Mount Brook, Homewood, Ramsey, Gulf Shores, Spanish Fort, Saraland. It is loaded with very good teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at the pin map, I love going back and looking at the pin map. It seems like that Region 8 that you just kind of talked about, the very last one, they're more scattered out than all the others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But it's good to see Fort Payne and Scottsboro back in the same area, same region again, because normally most of the time they're always in the same region, and it's good to have them back. And I noticed that it's been changed. The Fort Payne schedules came well. Fort Payne
Fort Payne's
schedules
not
came.
out.
Yeah, Fort Payne's not out, but Scottsboro's is out, and I saw it
Scottsboro's,
the other
yeah,
day, and
yeah,
they have moved the Top Cat Trophy and all that. I think
yeah.
they moved that to week 8 or 9.
Yeah,
So
it's week 8. If people don't understand how those schedules are made, they go into the region coordinator. They go into this, and the coaches draw a number 1 through 8, and then whatever number you are is on a template, and then you're compared. If you draw number 1, you may play number 8, and that's how your region schedule is laid out. It just so happened to work out this year or this time that Scottsboro and Fort Payne will play a second year in a row at Fort Payne. It's happened before, It's happened before with Scottsboro. Scottsboro's had to go to Gunnersville back-to-back years. So it sometimes it happens.
Yep.
But this region, I look at it's very top heavy because you've got Scottsboro, Fort Payne, um, Boaz, who all made the playoffs last year, and then I think to me those are the top three teams, and then Albemarle and Abraham are probably playing for four,
Right.
in my opinion. Columbia has the longest losing streak in the nation at 100 games. So, and then Lee, I think they went 0-10 last year. And then May Jemison was a playoff team in 6A, but I think they went 5-7, 5-6. So, May Jemison's going to have the athletes, and it's just going to be, can you sustain those athletes during the game?
Right. Yep. So that's 5A, and we will move over to 6A. And let me look. There's only 4 regions in 6A, and trying to look. Gaston City, that's a region. 6A Region 4 is going to be Bob Jones, Buckhorn, Gaston City, Grissom, Hazel Green, Huntsville, James Clemens, and Sparkman.
That's probably a Bob Jones, James Clements region, if I had to guess.
Right.
I got told back during volleyball season that Gadsden City was going to go up. If it stayed, they would have been a 7A school. If everything had stayed the same, they got a lot of enrollment. It went up. So that comes straight from the principal. He said that we're going up. So unfortunately for them, now they're in the super class, I guess is what you want to call it. And but they're going to have to play those guys, and they're the one outlier. Everybody else is in Madison County.
Yeah, that's why I was fixing to say. Looking at the pin map here, it's like you got let's see, 2, 4, 6 pins, 7 pins up in the Huntsville area, and then you got the 1 pin at Gaston.
Yeah.
So the folks in Gaston might as well get ready to travel to Huntsville quite a bit this
Yeah.
season. Not just for football, but for pretty much everything else, it seems like. So that's your 6A, and there's only 32 teams in the 6A. So more likely, when the playoffs roll around, their semifinal will be about the same time everybody else's quarterfinals.
Yeah, I would think so.
So
It's basically the old 7A. I
Yeah.
think that would be the schedule, unless something was to change in the next 3 months or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're basically the old 7A.
Now we're going to go over to the private, where it's called the Single A, and it's Single A Region 4 that will have Coosa Christian, Decatur Heritage, Lindsay Lane, Mars Hill, Shoals Christian, Westbrook Christian, and Whitesburg Christian. And for people that's wondering, you will see a lot of Christian schools in the private classifications because of them being private schools, of course.
Yeah. This I talked to one of the coaches that's in this region. I saw him Friday as this was announced. He was not thrilled that Coosa and Mars Hill were in his region. One is he's a rival with the schools are rivals with each other because they're in the same county. But and then you just throw in Mars Hill. I mean, you got 2 defending state champions in that region. Coosa won 2A, and then Mars Hill won 3A. So that's a tough region, very tough. And then you just look at the other region in the south. You got St. Luke's, Providence Christian, Mobile Christian, Cottage Hill. To me, Region 4 is the toughest out of all 4 of these. To me, that's the toughest region.
And we'll go to the AA private, and there's only 2 regions in the AA private. Really none of them around here, really close by. Westminster Christian Academy, Madison Academy, St. Paul, Second Catholic High School, Randolph School, Lee Scott Academy, John Carroll Catholic, Briarwood Christian, and American Christian.
Yeah, you look at this region, and Briarwood's in Birmingham, John Carroll's in Birmingham, Madison Academy is in Huntsville or Madison, Randolph's in Madison, St. John Paul is in Madison, or in Madison County. Westbrook Christian is in Madison County. Lee Scott Academy is in Auburn.
Right.
American Christian Academy is in Tuscaloosa.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of travel for those teams, and this is where, man, this is tough. I don't know how you do playoffs for this. Do you take 8 teams, or you let all 16 play? Me, if I'm the Athletic Association, I let all 16 play, because if you let 8, then you're cutting your games in half. And we all know, I mean, the gate money is split between the Athletic Association and the team. So obviously, more games would mean more money for everybody. And then you look at the region. You've got Faith Academy, Houston Academy. I don't know where Glenwood School is. McGill, Montgomery Catholic, St. Michael's, St. Paul's. Most of these are they're in Mobile, Baldwin County, I think. Houston County is over in Dothan. I'm sorry. Right. So
one of the schools is in Montgomery.
Okay.
And one of them is on the Alabama-Georgia line, close to Columbus.
So Glenwood may be at Columbus, because Montgomery Catholic's the Montgomery it's got to be the Montgomery school. I know Dothan, Houston Academy's in Dothan. So yeah, Glenwood is probably in Columbus or over near Auburn. So over that way. So yeah, that's a lot of travel right there.
You know, just looking at it, the pin map and everything. And I heard this. It's just, I guess it's kind of hearsay more than everything, but I did hear that they are talking about the private schools possibly going to area play instead of region play.
Okay.
And if that happens, that would make could cut down on a lot of travel time for a lot of these schools.
Yeah. You know, and there's some schools, there's some public school administrators that would like to go back to area play as a whole. Mm-hmm. My only argument to that is, when we had that before, you had some teams that didn't make the playoffs that were really good.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one that comes to mind is Albertville. They were in an area with Scottsboro, North Jackson, Fort Payne. Well, North Jackson and Scottsboro were really good. Albertville went 8-2 like 3 straight years and didn't make playoffs because they lost to North Jackson and Scottsboro.
Right.
This is mid-90s. And I think that, honestly, that's there's teams that went 9-1. You lost the wrong area game, or was in a 3-way tie, and you odd man out. So to me, that's just, for the private school situation, that might work, but for public school, it wouldn't. You get too many teams that would lose out, and you would. To me, it wouldn't make the playoffs as good, because you got teams that are going to miss out.
Absolutely. Yep. And, so I flipped over. We'll look at the volleyball real quick. The 1A volleyball, they're broke down to 3 and 4 schools in each region. Mm-hmm. 1A area 16. Well, I said regions, but there are areas. 1A area 16, Skyline, Valley Head, and Woodville. Yes. Then 1A area 15, Appalachian, Cedar Bluff, Gelsel, Spring Garden.
And the one thing that is significant about volleyball, they release all fall sports first. They'll come back, they'll do basketball. But 90% of the time, basketball mirrors what volleyball is. So if these volleyball or basketball areas, if I'm Skyline, I'm happy. So, I'm happy. If I'm Spring Garden, I'm happy. That's really good. for them. And, volleyball. You look at this volleyball area for Area 16. Skyline just started volleyball last year,
Right.
so this will be their first chance to play at varsity level. I mean, they played varsity level, but now they can go in the playoffs and play. Valley Head, they didn't have a volleyball program for a long time. And they've been back the last few years, and then Woodville obviously has had one since the inception of really volleyball taking off in Jackson County. So should be interesting there.
So we'll move over to 2A volleyball real quick. And area 15, you got Collinsville, Fife, Gaston, and Sandrock. And like you said, if volleyball kind of goes into basketball, that's going to be a pretty good little basketball area as well.
Yeah, and this has been an area in the past for basketball. And then Area 16, this past year it was Section Pisgah North Mountain volleyball, or Ida was in 1A. So now you just throw this area right here is old area that used to produce really good basketball, and in volleyball will be the same. Pisgah was a state. They went to the regionals. North Mountain went to regionals in volleyball. Ida went to regionals in volleyball. Section did not. Fife is traditionally really good at volleyball, have been in the past. So it's going to be some good volleyball played on Sand Mountain. And then you look at those for area basketball. If basketball, and if Area 16 is the basketball area, that's going to be fun every area game.
Yep.
Because there's some rivals there. North Mountain Ida are rivals. Ida Pisgah are rivals. Section Pisgah. Section North Mountain, Pisgah North Mountain. They're all rivals.
Yeah.
And the good thing is they're only separated by a few miles, all of them. So
then we'll move over to
some fun there.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we'll move over to 3A region. 3A area 15, where it's going to be Alabama School of Cyber Technology and Engineering, Asbury, DAR, Madison County, and New Hope.
Yeah, this, DAR or Asbury and Cybertech have been they're in the same area this year, along with I'm trying to think who else they were in with, but it wasn't anybody other than Asbury around here. New Hope, I think they were with New Hope. No, New Hope is with Plainview now. So, but yeah, that's kind of I think DAR is probably going to own that area. As far as if it's basketball, I don't know anything about volleyball at those schools, so that would be interesting.
Right. And then you move over to 3A area 16, Geraldine, North Jackson, Plainview, and Sylvania. And all four of them are notorious for being very good at volleyball. And Geraldine's usually at the state tournament. Yeah. Plainview's usually at the state tournament, playing for a trophy most of the time.
I look at this, and I text two coaches out of this area this past week, and I said, y'all are going to play each other a lot.
Yeah.
I said, you're going to play in the county, you're going to play in area, and you're probably going to be the two that go to the state tournament. And for me, as a sports writer in this county, that's going to be fun because really good volleyball in this county. I think that, I got to look at it this year. The county volleyball tournament in volleyball is 50 years old. It's one of the longest in the state. Geraldine, Plainview, Sylvania, all three have won state championships in volleyball in their school history. So, and I don't know a whole lot about volleyball, but you watch good volleyball, it becomes fun to watch.
Yeah.
And this is going to be one of those areas that's going to be fun, night in and night out.
Absolutely, and also with basketball as well.
Yeah, basketball. Good. If this holds for basketball, you look at Plainview. They've been so dominant the last decade and a half. not a lot of county schools. They've not played a lot of county schools except for the Sand Mountain in the county tournament. Well, now they get 3. They get to play 3. They don't have to search for teams to play and try to find good home games. Now they've got them because I think that will be good home games for them.
Yeah. 4A Area 16 is going to be Cherokee County, Crossville, Gunnersville, and Sardis.
Yeah, Gunnersville they're the defending state champions, and Cherokee County is the defending state volleyball champion. So that area is going to be fun to watch too.
Mm-hmm. So. Absolutely. All right, we'll move on over to 5A, which is going to be 5A Area 15. We'll start with Aberville, Boaz, Douglas, and Southside.
Yep, Southside's really good at volleyball. I know a coach, and probably the Southside coach too. They're probably happy they don't have to play Fort Payne area. That's been some good games, and now they're in the different areas. So I look for Southside probably to win that one. They were out.
Yeah. Then 5A Area 16 will be Fort Payne, Lee, May Jemison, and Scottsboro.
Yeah, this is going to be Fort Payne and Scottsboro because May Jemison and Lee are not traditionally very good at volleyball. So this will be one of those where it comes down to those two, the Wildcats, to figure out who's going to be area champions.
Right. So 6A, let's see if there's 6A. You got Area 8, which is Buckhorn, Gaston City, Grissom, and Huntsville.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, once again, Gaston City, like we kind of mentioned earlier, they're going to take quite a few trips to Huntsville over the next 2 years.
Yeah, Huntsville High is really good at volleyball. So, and Grissom's been good too. Buckhorn was good last year. I saw them play Fort Payne. So, this is tough for Gaston City.
And single A private, let's see what we got going on here. Really nothing. Westbrook Christian. Single A Area 6. You got Coosa Christian, Faith Christian, Jacksonville Christian, the Donahoe School, Victory Christian, and Westbrook Christian.
Yeah, this could be, if they go to area play, this could be part of what it would be in football.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if that's the case, that may not be too bad. Which Faith Christian doesn't have football. I don't think Donahoe has football, but Faith does not. So you'd have to figure that out. But yeah, and I don't know anything about those as far as volleyball.
Yeah, I don't know anything either. And then one more in the AA private Area 4. You got Madison Academy, Randolph, St. John Paul, and Westminster Christian. We're not going to sugarcoat it. I don't know nothing about any of those in volleyball. So
yeah, the only thing I know about volleyball is, honestly, in this area in this class, you look at Area 1. You've got McGill, you got St. Paul's, you got UMass, who are really, really good. Yeah. And then Bayside Academy probably is happy that they don't have to play McGill anymore, because McGill, with a competitive balance, Bayside had 122 in a row in 1A, 2A, and 3A. Well, in 2022, with competitive balance, they moved them up to 7A. They went straight from 3A to 7A. And they have not won a state championship since, because McGill has been sitting there. So McGill is really good at volleyball.
Right. Well, they're good. They're good at all the sports, to be honest about it. You always hear about them making it to the deep in the playoffs in football, basketball, and everything else. Heath, you mind taking a question real quick?
Yeah.
Aaron McKenzie said, question for Heath. Does he think the private schools leave AHSAA and go back to AISA?
It's a possibility. It could be a possibility that some stay. For example, and I'm just shooting in the dark here. I think you might see McGill, the top of like McGill, UMS, St. Paul's, those private schools stay and they get put in 6A, and the others may leave and go to AISA, which, in my opinion, if they leave the AISA, or they leave to go to the AISA, I think it's a bad move on their part, because you're not going to get the money you get from the AHSAA. Because honestly, how many people, and this is just me being honest, how many people other than parents go to AISA events? I don't know. I mean, I would, I know they hold separate championship events kind of the week earlier than the AHSA. So I honestly think they stay. It's a possibility they could split, or and like truly split. It would be a true split. They would leave. It's a possibility, but I don't think so, honestly.
Yeah, right. He had another comment as
Okay.
far as right there was a reason why they left the AISA in the first place.
First place. Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, Aaron, appreciate you watching and thanks for the question. Heath, appreciate you joining me tonight, going over all this. Hopefully, it wasn't for naught, because of things could change.
Yeah.
It's not nailed down 100 million% accurate, perfect, but it could change. But hopefully, it'll kind of stay close to being the same.
Yeah, hopefully this is what we got. Maybe if I've never known them to go back and make tweaks to anything. Now, I have seen them go back and like they messed up a school somewhere and had to go back and redo a region, which could happen. I don't know. I don't have any sources that tell me that. But if this is what we have for 2 years, let's have it for 2 years. Let's make some adjustments. Football committee or the reclassification committee, let's look at it. And I think we really need to take a hard look at 5A and 6A and think, it needs to be more than 32 teams. It honestly should have been 60 teams. I talked to someone and that's what they wanted, but the group as a whole did not agree on that. So, you got to go with the option that everybody agrees on, or that gets you the most votes in that room. So, and what you could settle on, and this is what they settled on. And yeah, to me, the only hiccup out of the whole thing was 5A and 6A. Is I think there should have been more of those 5A teams should have stayed in 6A. There will be a meeting on February 6th. I don't know the contents of that, or the means of what's going to be discussed in that meeting. I think it's like to figure out what playoff scenarios will be, what tiebreakers will be, as far as that, to get it settled. With them adding 2 private school classifications, you automatically think, hey, that's going to add days to championship weeks. They've already done a pilot system that they're going to use for 2026 in Mobile for 4 days. They'd already agreed on that. It probably needs to go to 5. I think you play Monday through Friday down there. And then you have like your private schools who will probably have a week off before when the rest of the state is playing semifinals. I think the private schools in 6A will have that week off, and that's probably who you play Monday, Tuesday. And then everybody else will be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I think you do 2 games a day, or you do one game on Monday and then you do 2 games the rest of the days, and then get your 8 games in, or however you want to do it. Because you'll have flag football in there too that's got to play at some point. So you may do 3 games a day with a flag football game at 11. And then you take basketball, for example. It's already crammed in Monday through Saturday. Honestly, you're probably going to play Saturday to Saturday and have Sunday off. That's just in my mind. I may be just shooting spitballs at a wall and see what sticks, but just to me, that's what makes sense. Now, I don't know if that makes sense in the world of getting the Legacy Arena and all that logistics wise. Can they add that, or do they have something else on their schedule? So it'd be interesting to see.
Absolutely. Randy, Randy chimed in. We was talking about the travel time for all the regions and all that. So he sent in one of the East region from in Tennessee. So the East region, Baylor in Chattanooga, Christian Presbyterian from Nashville, Ensworth High School, Nashville, Knoxville Catholic in Knoxville, McCauley in Chattanooga, and Montgomery Bell in Nashville.
You're going back and forth between 3 cities.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
So we think some of our travel down here is pretty bad. You could be dealing with that up there.
Yeah. That's a lot of I-20 and a lot of I-40.
Yeah.
So it's I-40. I'm sorry, it's I-40 and whatever goes towards Knoxville. So, wow, that is
They're
a lot of travel.
literally going from one end of the state to the other.
Yeah.
So, but Heath, I appreciate you joining me tonight, going
Yeah.
over this. Always a pleasure being on here with you, talking about different stuff. Maybe here pretty soon, here next week or so, we can talk about the teams that are making it to Jacksonville, because we
we'll have
we always got quite a few from the DeKalb Jackson area that makes it.
Area tournament brackets are starting to come in, and we can, you can start to judge and see once that gets going. It's fixing to go quickly as we, like a lot of teams wrap up this Friday, Monday, Tuesday of next week, and then we jump right into area play next weekend, area tournament play. You got that for like a 6-day window, and then you got a day off, and then I've already told my wife I'm going to spend Valentine's Day at a basketball game because you got sub-regional of 13th and 14th. And then you take 2 days off, and then the regional tournament in Jacksonville starts on the 16th of February. So it's about to go fast. And then there'll be a lot of basketball in the next 6 weeks.
How did that go?
She's like, okay. So we'll do it another day. So, it'll be interesting to see. I do know I have it's not out in public yet, but Fort Payne's in a 3-team region or 3-team area, and their champion Fort Payne girls have already won the right to host. Their championship area game will be February 9th on Monday at 6:00. The boys, if they were to beat Southside in the first game, their championship game against the Gadsden City would be on the 10th, and it would be at Gadsden City. So as soon as we have those, I'll get them out, get a list and put them online and get them in the paper. And then we'll start with figuring out who's going to go where and when they're going to play in Jacksonville. Obviously, we'll carry every local team on 101.7, The Torch. We'll carry them live from Jacksonville. I will be on the call with Patrick Williams. If you don't know who Patrick is, he is the voice of Boaz football and Boaz football. And he also does a variety of stuff at Jacksonville. He's the PA guy for football. He calls basketball or does PA for basketball too during the regional tournament. And he does Conference USA stuff. He's a really good guy. He's very professional and does a great job. He's done voice for as long as I can remember here as we've done Jacksonville. And last year, he had never had a color guy until last year. And I said, hey, why don't I just come do color with you? I'm going to be down there anyway. He's like, yeah. And so they got me a headset, and we had a good championship week. Now we're going to do both weeks with any team that is down there. Hopefully we can do some of the Marshall County schools. Outbro's very, very good, and we're looking to maybe do them as well. At Jacksonville, we won't be able to do Scottsboro during the regional tournament or Guntersville because they go to Wallace. But if any of them do make it to Birmingham, we will absolutely carry them on the air on 101.7 for the state tournament. So looking forward to that. Going to be a lot of basketball.
Was you at the Fort Payne game last night? Fort Payne Scottsboro?
I was there.
How was the atmosphere?
It was electric. It was very good. Anytime you get Fort Payne and Scottsboro together, it's a good game. And Fort Payne, it was not a sweep because Scottsboro won the freshman and the JV boys, but the girls won JV, varsity girls won, and varsity boys won for Fort Payne. The girls' game, Scottsboro got out to a lead early, and then Coach Sparks had a good plan. His plan, Scottsboro shoots the lights out of it. If you give them an inch, they're going to take it. They're probably going to make it the three, and he had a good plan to get them off the line, the 3-point line. They played earlier in December, and Scottsboro 16 of 24 from the 3-point line. Last night they only made 7, and I think they attempted 30. So it improved and it showed. And then the freshman Naomi Wise, she scored 30 last night, had a double-double. She had 13 rebounds. And then Zimri Craig and Zaria Craig, who can shoot the three, both their sisters, both had 16 points apiece. Coach Sparks has got 3 that can score it on any given night. Like Zimri had 32 in their game last week. So it's just any given night, somebody can score 25, 30 between those 3 girls. And then Carson Todd for the boys had a good game against Scottsboro. And then, JJ Willoughby had a good game. So it was 2 very good games. Crowd was into it. And I think that was Fort Payne girls' only second win in the last 5 years against Scottsboro. So Scottsboro's been very good, and Fort Payne is good. They're ranked number 4 in the state, and 6A Scottsboro obviously number 1. So, but yeah, it was a good game. Good games, and then shockingly, and I usually don't keep up with JV games as much, but I got there, and one of the Fort Payne girls that had her name's Newton. Ainsley Newton. I'm like, and then another girl, I'm like, they've got to have a bunch of points. So at halftime, I went over and looked at the book. Newton had 20, and then Marley Burt had 16. And I was like, okay, let's keep up with this for the second half. Then Newton had 35 in a JV game.
Wow.
And I don't know if I don't keep up with it that much, but I just thought, man, that's a lot for a JV game. And it looked effortless. She was scoring it. It just looked like it came easy. And come to find out, she's only played basketball 2 years. So
wow.
She's going to be she's one of those. I told Coach Sparks, I said, she needs to move up after the JV season's over. She probably needs to get some experience with the varsity girls. So, but yeah, not to take anything away from Scottsboro or anything, they're a really good basketball team. The girls, they're probably the favorite. I'm going to say they are the favorite, and they should win 5A. It will come down to them in Gunnersville at Wallace to see who goes, and I think the winner of that game is going to be the state champion in 5A. Fort Payne girls have got a really good opportunity. They keep clicking and keep improving. Like Coach Sparks said, they'll have an opportunity to go to Birmingham too. So, and going to be a lot of fun. A lot of teams around here that have an opportunity to make that trip back to Birmingham. Ider's got a chance. They should be the favorite in 1A, but they've got a Winterboro's pretty good. They'll see them in a regional final. I think that will be the state championship game like it was last year between Ider and Spring Garden. I want to shout out another girl that she plays. And I'm shouting out a lot of girls because, girls basketball up here is very good right now. Aubrey Morgan from Sylvania. She had her 3rd straight double-double last night. She has played outstanding. She had 30 points. She had 30 and 12 in the first game of the county tournament. Then I think she had 14 and 17 in the second. And last night she had 22 and 10. So she is playing very well right now. That's Coach Williams' daughter, I do believe, Howie. I'm right on that.
I think so.
So that they made it to Birmingham last year, and I think they're peaking. They're playing at the right time. So they host the area, and with that area though, anybody can win on any given night. Um, but I think they're playing the best right now out of those 4 teams. And then, of course, Sawyer Kate Hogan at Plainview. She can just shoot the lights out of it. I've She went over 3,000 points. What, 3 or 4 weeks ago? She is now at 3,200. She's over 3,200. The county record is 4,148. Can you guess who has that?
I'm saying Heather.
Heather has it. It has stood for 35 years or 30 years. Heather graduated in 95, so it's held that long. It was a state record at one point until a group of straying girls from Woodland came along
Yeah.
who can score.
Yeah.
But Sawyer Kate has a chance. She stays healthy in the next year or two because she's just a junior. She has a chance to break Heather's all-time county scoring record. So that's one of those that I'm going to keep up with. And then just Plainview's girls have played really good. You know, they blew out Ider. Ider kept it close to the county final, but they had a 15-0 run there at the end of the first half, made 5 straight threes, and that set the tone. And they're going to be one. I think this year they have a really, really good. We could have a chance to have 3 or 4 girls teams in Birmingham, and that would be outstanding. And not take anything away from the boys. Section boys are really good. I think they have an opportunity to go to Birmingham. Plainview boys, they've got a tough road to get there, but I think they can. That they're starting to. Their football leagues are gone. They're playing basketball now, so that they've got a chance. And who knows what else happens? You look at Marshall County, Albertville girls. They're good. Their boys are good. So just basketball in general, and along with Scottsboro, up in our part of the state has always been very good. But I think it's better than it ever has been. And that's a strong statement because there had been some really good boys teams in the past, but I think girls have probably took it. They passed the boys at this point, just with the athletes that are around. So, and it's going to be fun the next month for me.
Yeah. Aaron is thinking exactly the same thing that I'm saying or I'm thinking. Better not remind Heather how long she's been out of school. So,
I saw her last night, and she's like, records are made to be broken. One of her records was broke last week, twice in the same night. It was broke in the semifinals of the girls' county. Sawyer Kate Heather had scored 40 points. That was the most in a county tournament game. Sawyer Kate did it in the first semifinal with 41, and then McKinley Traylor turned around the next game and had 44. So that was neat. And without a doubt, those two are probably the best 2 girls players in the county, in DeKalb County. And then Jackson Bruce on Plainview's team. She had 22 last night against Plainview. She's playing better. She just keeps improving. And it's in, her grandfather's Steve King. So it's there for her also. And, it's just it's really neat to see these kids to see what they can do, and just it's an honor for me to cover them and spotlight them and put those names. It's something that hadn't been done in a while around here. So it's been a great pleasure for me.
Yeah, like Phil says, and I agree with him 100%. This is the best time of year.
Yeah.
The basketball.
I like football. I like the football playoffs, but there's nothing like. And I didn't play basketball in school. You see behind me, I played football, but there is nothing like going to Jacksonville and just staying all week and watching all the teams from around here. And I'm going to say this: the people in Montgomery at the state office will tell you Jacksonville's the best regional.
Yeah.
And if we were to ever lose that, it would be a shame. Because that it is always packed at the peak.
Yes.
So great basketball, a lot of history.
Right. And last year, you was there just like I was. I think it was last year. Yeah. The Ider Spring Garden game.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen I don't think I've ever seen it as packed for a game as it was for that one there.
That was the, and I built it up. Patrick kind of kidded me when we were doing it. He's like, "This is the one you've been waiting to talk about." I mean, I built it up, and it was the state championship game. They were the best two teams.
Yep.
Whoever won that, if I had pulled the upset over Ace, they were going to win the state title. And I think the thing that it's going to be the same this year. If I can beat Winterboro, they'll probably win the state championship. But you got to get one game at a time and get there, and stay healthy.
Absolutely.
So.
But yeah, Heath, we'll get back on here and talk a little bit about that here in another week or so.
Sorry, I went on a tangent.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good, man. I'm gonna let you get home to the wife and the kids since you already told her that she's gonna be by herself. Since she's gonna be by herself on Valentine's Day, unfortunately. At least you didn't tell her, "Hey, hon, we're going to a basketball game for Valentine's."
When we were dating, there's a picture behind me right here. If you can see it, that's a picture of. It's been 10 years since that team. That's the section team. In Caleb Henshaw and Caleb Haynes and Noah Crawford. I was helping Coach Pruitt at section that year and kept stats for that team. We went to the Final Four. And about the time that basketball season started, me and Casey started dating. So she went to a lot of basketball games that year. So and that was a fun ride. That picture is actually from Jacksonville when we won the regional championship. So it was neat.
Absolutely. It's always, whether you're a spectator or a part of it, it's always fun to go to Jacksonville because of the setup. The setup is probably by far the best in the state.
Yeah.
You couldn't ask for anything better. But yeah, we'll get back on here. We'll talk a little bit more about the basketball. Hopefully, the regions are actually set for the football for this next coming season, but we'll have to wait and find out. But Heath, always a pleasure having you on here talking to us about all this stuff. And go ahead and plug it one more time about the basketball that y'all be covering on 101.7.
Yeah, we'll carry all the Sweet 16. I don't call them semifinals or finals. I call them Sweet 16 Elite 8 games from Jacksonville, starting on February the 16th. As far as if I've looked at the schedule right, we'll have games on the 16th, 17th, and 18th. And then we'll turn around in the next week on that Monday, which is the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th. We'll have games. That's if everybody wins they win their first game. So we'll have it'll be a lot of basketball. I'm sorry for anybody who we have a great our 101.7 The Torch of the classic rock and just that stuff and that kind of music. But a lot of people listen to our basketball coverage because a lot of it is played during the day and they cannot get to Jacksonville. So this will be, I think it started, the regional tournament started in 94, and I think WKA automatically started carrying it then with former owner Ron Livengood, and we've kind of carried that on with, our new owners, Nick Jones and Southern Torch, and we've just, we're going to continue that. It's kind of a tradition for us to carry all Northeast Alabama teams on the radio. So
yeah, I remember me and Phil going down and doing quite a few games down there as well. It's always fun going down there, and I compare it to kind of like a family reunion because you're going to run into a lot of people. That's the only time you see them is at Jacksonville during that time. And I'm not a big fan about the new setup they got. I always liked it where you could actually be sitting closer to the floor, but you're still real close, and it's nothing like behind each goal when you got two teams down there with the student sections.
Students, that's the best student sections you'll see all year. Because they get to get out of school and come to a game. So and it's bad to say, but the tornado was the best thing that ever happened to that building because we finally got air conditioning because it didn't have it before. So, and it's all chairback seats now. It used to not be that either. It used to be wood bleachers. The first time I ever went to the regional tournament, was 2003. I was in 8th grade. We went down and watched Pisgah girls play. I think they played Gaston, and then Pisgah boys played North End Mountain. in the regional final. Just tell you how old I mean. This long ago. Um, Holly Curry was on the girls' team for Pisgah. And then you had Jet Stevens, Matthew Darwin, all them on the boys' team for Pisgah. And then you had Cole Hicks, who is now the boys' coach at North Sea Mountain. He was on, it was his dad's last game as North Sea Mountain head coach. And Pisgah won both and went on and played in Birmingham. But it was just electric. I can remember it just being electric, and everybody from Sand Mountain, I think, was there. And my mom was dating a guy from Pisgah at the time, and we went. And I was like, I was hooked at that point, because then I started like, hey, I'm gonna listen to it, or I'm gonna go. And then, got lucky enough when I was in school. Scottsboro Girls went 3 years in a row and got to go. And we didn't get out of Jacksonville because of a girl named Allie Smalley who went to Auburn, but. It was really good to go down there and be a part of it.
But back then, it's when they had common sense and had Scottsboro at Jacksonville instead of all the way
Yeah.
over to Wallace.
Yeah.
Go figure. I'll never, make that make sense to me, guys.
Yeah.
Why is Scottsboro
Like
traveling
I said,
to Wallace?
human element needs to be put into some of this stuff.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Heath, I'm gonna let you get out here.
Yeah.
I don't want you to supper get cold, and tell the wife we appreciate your time for being able to stay with us as long as you did, and we'll get back on here and talk about more of the games that's going to be taking place once some of it kind of settles down a little bit. And always a pleasure. So for Heath Hambrick,
Yeah.
I'm the Howie Chaney. Thanks for watching tonight. And special run in by Randy Cunningham. Sorry I clicked the wrong button, Randy, but it took me out, but I got back in real quick. But anyway, thanks for joining us tonight, and looking forward to having Heath back on pretty soon. And Phil, we miss you tonight, and but we know you got other obligations you had to take care of. But looking forward to getting you back on here very soon to talk with Heath and about the local sports. So
Yeah.
good night, everybody, and stay warm if you can.